Hi, welcome back to my channel. It is me, Lizzie, and it is Bozy. Hi, Bozy. Hello. Oh, my ponytail broke. Are you serious? Honestly, I'm kind of interested to see how long it stays like this. Maybe it'll stay through my intro. I don't know. Hello, everybody. My name is Lizzie. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, yes, my name is Lizzie. Thanks for stopping by. So glad you could be with me today. If you are not new here, hello again. My name is Lizzie. I forgot my intro. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Oh, it fell. Okay, cool. All right. Anyway, hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, hit the notification bell so that you're notified whenever I post new planty content. Follow me on social media. It is right down here. Boop, boop. If you're gonna pick any social media to follow me on Instagram. I'm way more active there than on TikTok, and my website is also liveyourplantasy.com. I am getting my blog up and running there. So yeah, check it out. I'm making it very aesthetic and fun, and it'll be a cute little community. Feel free to become a member and join our Wix spaces. Intro done. All right, cool. Let's get into this video because honestly, I've been putting this off a little bit. It's taken me back to the days of stress dealing with the spider mite infestation, trying to break it down for y'all, and I want to finally give y'all an end or a wrap up to this series. We had about 2 hours of video covering this spider mite infestation. Yeah, 2 hours, give or take. And I want to move on to other stuff. Editing was awful. It was awful for many reasons. I made like a little vlog. It's kind of crappy to be honest, but I might just put it up so I don't have to reiterate any or everything here. So yeah, this is the last installment of that series. We're going to talk about an overall overview of what happened, and then I'll break down what I would have done differently knowing what I know now, especially after watching myself go through that in the 2 videos. I have rewatched them. I like them. I think my editing turned out well. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And honestly, it was not easy for me to break this down even after all of that and after watching back all the footage and the videos. First of all, don't beat yourself up if you're in the middle of a pest infestation and kind of don't know where to start or how to break it down for yourself. You can kind of take what I'm doing here and adapt it, or you don't have to take it at all. No hard feelings. I'm just going to give my breakdown. Maybe that'll provide you with some sort of framework so that you can tackle it yourself. That was a weird smile. I feel like I'm going to get one cringy smile in per video. That's just how it's going to be, so get used to it now. I don't know. Anyway, the reason I wanted to do this or start out with this series in the first place is that I feel like a lot of plant YouTube is geared towards either plant people who are intermediate or at least plant people who are not beginners. Wait, what? Geared toward a lot of plant YouTube is geared towards let me start that over. I feel like a lot of plant YouTube is geared towards plant people who are not beginners, so I wanted to start with this particular series to show myself as a beginner and take y'all along with me in my journey as I did things that were stressful and learned things from those stressful experiences. So yes, I roasted myself a little bit. We had a little bit of fun and a little bit of laughs, but I wanted to circle back to the point that this is all for the purposes of education and also just to come to the realization together that everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. Yeah. Anyways, I've had a lot of stranium on the old cranium today. Okay, I promise that's the only time I'm going to say this joke during the video. Just this video though. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to start with the first one, which is the most important and what's key here in my opinion, and that is the mental health aspect of all of this. The impact that infestation had on my mental health, period. and also the impact that it had on my mental health given how I was handling it. Now, I'm not saying that I handled it in a way that was bad, and my breakdown of this isn't supposed to be, here is what I would have done knowing what I know now, and that is a good way of doing it. It's just an alternate way of doing it. I think that I could have definitely done some things differently to make it easier on myself. But like I said in the last two videos, it's not about being a success or a failure as a plant person. And also it's certainly not about being a success or a failure while you're tackling something stressful like an infestation. I feel like that would be stressful for everybody because we love our plants. We spend money on our plants, on dirt, soil amendments, fertilizer, the plants themselves, pots, planting materials. And so when all of those things are in jeopardy, yeah, of course it's stressful. It would be stressful for anybody. That's not a judgment on anyone's character. It doesn't give or yield any information about you as a person. Keep that in mind. So if you're stressed out about something, know that it isn't just you. Know that somebody else has gone through this, absolutely has gone through this, and know that you are valid to be stressed out, sad, angered about what you're going through, and that's totally fine. That's totally okay. So some background on this infestation that contributes to the mental health aspect of this overall. This was the beginning of lockdown. I had just been laid off. I didn't have anything to do outside of the home. I was doing everything at the same time. I was not keeping track of what I was doing in a way that made sense to me. I was keeping track of what I was doing, but not in a way that I could return to and have it make any sense at all. And be able to understand it at all. Like, remember that one clip from one of those videos? I don't remember which one. I'll put it up here again. It shows the configuration of my plants in not even my apartment as a whole, just in the living room, which was really tiny. They were all clumped together, which was one of my problems, but that was my method of separating plants by treatment, and I could not tell you what I was doing there. That was just something that my brain did to try to make this easier on myself that I didn't think through as a system. So the first thing I'll start with, without getting into the breakdown of this and how I would tackle it now, is give yourself systems that work for you. Knowing who you are as a plant person. I was also not keeping any kind of log. I had Post-it notes on the wall denoting dates that I was doing things. So like, this plant was watered on this date. This plant received hydrogen peroxide. God, I never want to say that word again after this. This plant was hit with hydrogen peroxide this date and assaulted with it again on this date. And since I was doing everything at once, I had no idea what I had been doing anyways. So in terms of updating those dates, total crapshoot. Didn't know what was going on. I was just assuming that I would remember what was going on. Definitely not the case. And also, why wasn't I thinking about who I am as a person? Not to poke fun at my brain or my memory here, but as somebody with ADD and also under a stressful situation, I tend to be someone that runs around everywhere with little to no direction, and I should have known that I would not be able to come back and just automatically recall from my archives what all I was doing. But that's okay. I was in the beginning of my plant journey, so I wasn't quite sure who I was as a plant person yet, or how I would function under stressful conditions like that. Really, you have to kind of rip the band-aid off first. You have to have your first big curveball throwing to see how you would function, and then kind of edit and revise from there. I remember before this infestation happened, I kind of felt untouchable because although I had had spider mites previously, I just didn't know that I did. I was like, I have never had pests. Like, I've never had a problem. I must be doing something right. That I was left with little to no mental bandwidth to tackle this without putting any sort of system in place. That is my TED Talk about the mental health part. I'm so upset that my ponytail broke because I really want to put my hair up. Okay, let's talk about the physical exhaustion aspect of all of this. One, running around and doing everything at once. That was not a good way to do this. And it also did not allow me to break this up in a way that where I could check in with myself in terms of how tired am I, how much have I eaten that day, how much have I drank today, have I showered, to be honest. That's an important part of self-care and mental health for me. Have I brushed my teeth? Some days I just didn't, which I was busy, but I should have taken care of myself first before trying to take care of other plants. It probably would have gone better. So quite honestly, because I did not break this up in a way that allowed me to check in with myself mentally or physically, I was left in a spot where all I could think about or check in with was the physical condition of my plants, which I assumed were all dying, which was not the case. Yeah, I think that was part of the physical exhaustion. I was like, everything just get out of my apartment, please. I did not sit down much. I didn't take many physical breaks. I was up in the morning and then it wasn't even sun up to sundown. It was sun up whenever I got out of bed, which was usually sun up, and then until I physically could not stand anymore. I now know that my body can't take that and that I shouldn't try to will myself to take that. It's just not a good idea for me. I have fibromyalgia, as I've said many times on this channel, and a little to no sleep plus moving around a ton is not good for me physically. It gives me a lot of pain. So, vicious cycle there. In terms of consuming information, I inundated myself with it. I had plant YouTube on repeat to keep myself going instead of what I should have done to keep myself going, like eat food, drink water, sleep, sit down, take breaks, deep breathe, do some yoga, whatever. So plant YouTube is what I had on repeat to keep myself going. That led to sensory overload. I just get auditory sensory overload. Over a long period of time, my brain gets very overstimulated and I have a harder time prioritizing things and making sense of things and just understanding things. One of the reasons I was physically exhausted is because I was drinking so much Red Bull. CVS probably saw me twice a day buying hydrogen peroxide and Red Bull. I'm talking like 5 or 6 Red Bulls a day. I was consuming so much sugar, so you can only imagine how my skin looked. I mean, you really don't have to imagine. It was in those videos. And also, little sleep will do that to your skin, or at least it does that to my skin. So, a lot of Red Bull, no sleep, equals no appetite for me. One of the reasons I didn't have enough physical energy, or physical energy at all. Not even enough, just any to function as a person. I also move very quickly, like physically. When I see people do a task normally, like get up and go to the fridge to get a snack, or the way my mom does plant tasks, repotting a plant or watering plants. I'm like, why are you going so slow? How do people go this slow? I also was walking really fast up and down stairs and I could have really hurt myself. I just needed to do things at a slower pace so that I could think about them and so that I wasn't so tired all the time. At the end of the day, I was trying to hijack my body this is how I'm making sense of it. I was hijacking my body, trying to, because I wasn't successful. And really, I don't think that is something that can be attained by anybody, which in turn led to very, very slow progress. Okay, let's get into the meat and bones of this. Ew, I hate meat, but I don't know how else to say it. Let's get into talking about things that I did that were very well-intentioned but redundant. Yeah, this is like the set. I'm gonna say this 2 more times, and then that's gonna be it for the rest of this video, okay? I thought hydrogen peroxide was gonna be the end-all be-all solution to this. There, I said it. It was not. The inundation of information that I'm talking about. Inundation of information. Nice. Cool. I really was convinced that there were eggs in the soil. And sure, there could be some eggs in the soil, but as we approach spring now, I feel like that would be more applicable than in the hotter months when this I keep saying infestation, as opposed to the hotter months when this infestation was happening, because the eggs have already overwintered and they are hatched and on the foliage of my plants at this point, right? So now that I think about it, I feel like that was probably just not even redundant, but not necessary at all. And it was absolutely redundant because I did it multiple times to multiple plants. I know that, and it didn't help their situation at all. So another thing, especially since I was bringing a lot of new plants into the home and had no space to quarantine them. Y'all saw how small my apartment was and also the spaces that I was working with there. Besides my bathroom, I was very, very concerned about the foliage touching, which was just an inevitability. I feel like even in a medium-sized space or maybe a large space, if you want to huddle all your plants in a certain window that has really good light and you don't have another window that has good light, foliage touching is inevitable. Anyway, when I brought these plants home, I didn't even inspect their foliage before arranging them in my apartment because I literally could not deal with it. I could wrap my head around that possibility, but I could not wrap my head around me having to take action after discovering that. You know what I mean? So I was kind of like, you go over here. I'm just gonna hope for the best. Hope you don't have pests. I should have stopped buying plants at this point. Hey, little hanging pothos. Boop, boop, boop. Heyo. Heyo again. Anyway, so I'm going to say this one more time. Maybe 2 more times. I hope this is the last time I'm going to say this, though. My thought process with that was, okay, I've seen this mentioned a couple times on YouTube, Instagram, different social media platforms like that I was consuming my information from. So I'm going to assume that is the root cause of the infestation. So at that point, I really had no way of knowing. And I felt like that was going to be the easiest or the least aggressive way of managing this that wouldn't harm my plants. And it turned out to be the cause of some plants' demises. The reason why some of my plants perished during all of this is because I overwatered them. I was so convinced that I had to water these plants before doing anything to them. So I would go in and water and then water again with the solution that must not be named. Don't inundate yourself with information like I did. And 2, if you find yourself really drawn to a certain piece of information, ask yourself why. Hey, present me, are we drawn to this piece of information because we're very stressed about something and we don't know how to deal with it any other way? Are we drawn to this piece of information because we're really stressed about something and we think this will be the easiest way to do that? And if so, let's look at evidence to the contrary. What else can we do that would maybe help us take less time doing this thing, and in turn create less stress on both ourselves and our plants, and help us save more of them. Any piece of information about plants that you consume, especially in stressful situations like this, be skeptical of that information in terms of its usefulness to you. Are you just consuming information for the sake of consuming it because you feel lost? If you do feel lost, figure out a game plan. Look at the other side of things. So, for instance, all of the information that we looked at about insecticidal soap. If you're thinking about using insecticidal soap on your plants to maybe treat a pest infestation, know that there's the possibility of phytotoxicity. But I really focused on this piece of information in particular, which did not lend itself well to me prioritizing at all. For example, treating the foliage. That should have been my first line of defense. And that will be my first line of defense next time I encounter something like this. But as I just said, seek out information that does not say that. I'm not an authority on things, so don't take what I'm saying as gospel or capital T truth. Crowdsource your information or compile a bunch of sources and think about, okay, given who I am as a plant person and my mental bandwidth, physical and mental limits, and also just time constraints, because we all have different amounts of time in the day that we can dedicate to something, anything really, but especially to a stressful plant situation. I forgot what I was saying. Insert Michael Scott quote here. Oh, yeah. Take what I just said to you, right? That treating the foliage is a good first line of defense, and think about why I said that. The reason why I said that is because of my past experience dealing with a very, very virulent and out of control spider mite infestation in a small space with 120 plants that I had no experience treating. And looking back on the footage, those are all reasons that factor into me spitting out that information to you. And I'm not just pulling it out of thin air, I'm pulling it out of all of those reasons. So all of those reasons make up my motivation for saying that. Whenever an author or a person puts out a piece of information, an article, a video, any type of media, whatever, to convey that information, it's always for a purpose. And they're always coming from somewhere, right? I'm coming from a place of good intention. Trust me, as I talked about earlier, I think that not enough content is geared towards beginning plant people or plant people that just need to know more about the fundamentals and the basics. I say all that to say that even if information is coming from a place of good intention and from a source that has thought about it a lot, I've thought about this a lot. That's why I was nervous and like putting off making this video, but I can just get it out of my brain and into my camera and into the Ethernet now. Yay. I think y'all are getting what I'm saying. Y'all are smart people. Even if it's from a place of good intention, still don't take it as capital T truth. Do your own research. I feel like I also had a whole other host of pests that I was not aware of because I was so tangled up in the spider mite issue. I probably had thrips and mealybugs. I know that I found mealybugs on some of my plants, but I figured whatever I was using for spider mites would work for them. And actually it was the opposite way around. What I would have been using for mealybugs would have not worked for spider mites because we know they're arachnids and you need an ingredient, spinosad. Remember our good old friend spinosad. Keep that in your back pocket. Okay, let's talk about things about the treatments themselves. I'm not going to talk any more about the chemical that shall not be named. So I went with conventional methods like neem oil, really neem oil besides the chemical that shall not be named, because that was the information I was seeking out in the first place, honestly. So there was confirmation bias at play there for sure. And I was unfamiliar with other methods of pest treatment, things like insecticidal soap. I don't know why I said it like that. Insecticidal soap, Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew, other preventative. I just went to what I knew and what I had seen mentioned on the internet, so that's where the confirmation bias came into play. I didn't have enough mental bandwidth to actually learn and take in information about other pest treatment methods because I was shutting down mentally and physically. That all affects our ability to learn information, right? Actually retain it. So even though I was hearing about these things, it didn't stick in the old noggin. Too much stranium on the old cranium. All right, that's what I promise. And so I totally missed the treatment and the ingredient that actually kills spider mites in the first place. I totally missed it. You need spinosad. Please remember that. You need spinosad. Looking back, I wish I had done my own research instead of consuming hours upon hours of video with the same content. Not to say that it wasn't good content, it was great content, but it all had the same information. For example, neem oil, which I just mentioned. Instead of researching things about the spider mites themselves and putting myself in a place also where I could retain that information and use it to my advantage, I should have been researching, or not should have, I could have been researching things like these spider mites' life cycle, their food sources, what plants they are more attracted to or less attracted to. I know that some pests, I can't name one off the top of my head, but some pests are more attracted to woody plants as opposed to succulents, for example. These are all things that I could have been researching that would have informed how I handled that infestation. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. Infestation. And also, I wouldn't have missed the ingredient that actually would have eradicated the infestation. I could not believe that I just missed that entirely. I had forgotten that I missed that entirely. And doing that video, I was like, girl, I want to reach through the screen and I did not do a casualty count because that would have just made me sad. And I mean, I can confidently say it was at least 20 plants. I lost my Plea. I threw away the aloe. I lost my dunce caps, which were in a beautiful elephant pot. Wow, I actually remember these. I lost all my propagations. I threw away the Monstera addisonii. I threw away a bird's nest fern. I threw away that dragon tree plant that I was suspicious of. Remember her? She wasn't doing anything wrong. She didn't deserve that. I threw away my jelly beans, whom I loved so much. I threw away my mountain desert rose. My ADD timer's about to go off. Maybe? I hope it's not going to be loud. I'm scared. Okay, that was... no. So clearly I remember some things. I'll tally it up and put a little tally in this video. Probably by the golden pothos. Boop, boop. That's a good place to put it if my head wasn't blocking it earlier. But yeah, I did not do a money count. Would have... I don't know. It was just a mental block in this wall of awful that I was trying to get over to do this video. So now I'm going to break this down in the simplest way that my ADHD brain can think of. Hi, Bozy. He's hanging out with us. Look at him. Bozy! Bozy, look. Bozy, look here. He's not gonna look. I did not write it in my notes. I know why, because it was overwhelming. That's okay, I'll do it in real time with y'all here. Does this typing sound good at all? I know my nails do. You're welcome. I might already be getting lost in the weeds here, but I like what I have going so far, so I'm just gonna roll with this. Y'all, it's my favorite time of day outside. It's like dusk / right before the sun goes down. I love it. I'm also really happy that the days are getting longer. Okay, y'all, so I had a breakdown about the spider mites, and now I have a breakdown of how I could have handled it and a framework for dealing with stressful plant situations, specifically pest infestations. Ready? I'll also make this doc publicly available to y'all. I'll put it in my Google Drive and link it down below so that y'all can have access to all of my notes about this, if that's helpful for y'all. I've talked a lot in this video already, so in the interest of not inundating y'all with a lot of information, I'm just going to run through this quickly and wrap up the video, and we'll be done with the series. So let's go. There are 9 steps here. Don't worry, you'll see what I mean in a second. The last one is the most important. Keep that in mind. 1. Research the pest you are dealing with. 2. Confirm to the best of your ability that that is the pest you are dealing with, singular or plural. 3. Research treatment options. Use sources that are reputable, that you trust, and crowdsource information from others. And also think about how you would integrate that information into your pest treatment method. 4. Take pictures and or video of any damage to the foliage that you think has been caused by the pest. 5. Take inventory of the plants that you can tell have physical damage to them and separate them in your head or in a list somewhere by severity level. 6. I'm going to stop doing this after 6. 6. Isolate the worst cases if you can to the best of your ability. If you cannot isolate them, at least treat their foliage. My suggestion is to treat their foliage using either a diluted neem solution or Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew, specifically if you are dealing with spider mites. Another note for item 6 here. Whatever you do, make sure that you research the potential dangers of using the treatment method that you're choosing and keep an eye out for potential damage. If you can't afford the extra time to spot treat your plants and you just want to get it over with, at least keep an eye out for that damage so that you can cut off whatever you're doing before it gets worse and you exacerbate the stress and harm to your plants. Number 7. Water the other stressed plants, the plants that are being affected by the pest, and try to keep them as healthy as possible. Again, if you cannot quarantine or isolate the plants that you have deemed the worst in terms of physical damage, keep the plants around them that have not yet been infected by the pests as healthy as possible. So just water them, just keep them healthy, as de-stressed as possible so that they don't attract that pest. Number 8, this kind of ties into number 6, but I think that's a good thing because it's one less step. Treat the foliage as needed depending on 1, the life cycle of the pest or pests you're dealing with, and 2, the severity of damage. And lastly, step number 9, take care of yourself. Please assess your mental and physical bandwidth and act accordingly so you don't burn yourself out. As much as you want to make sure that no plants are harmed in the treatment of your pest problem, you also want to make sure that you don't cause any harm to yourself. And that's me not being cheesy. I really, really care about y'all. So yeah, that's the end of this little series. I hope that y'all had a few laughs with me, and I hope that this helped y'all. Please let me know what you thought of this series, especially this video. I would really, really love to hear your thoughts on it. What'd you like? What'd you dislike? That's okay. I won't be offended as long as it's constructive criticism. I'm sensitive. Don't hurt my feelings, please. And let me know if you have any other ideas for content that you would like to see in the future. I have a lot of ideas, and I think I'm going to make a little video that's like spring 2022 content teaser or something along those lines. But yeah, if y'all have ideas, throw them out there in the comments section, and I'll do my best to shuffle them in and integrate them in there. And that is all for me, folks. So until the next one, know that you are valuable, you are beautiful, you are so loved and cared for, you are needed here. Go ahead and treat that pest infestation now. You got this. And you look awesome today. Look at you. Dang. Yeah. You are valuable. Remember that. Go take care of yourself today. And I will see y'all in the next one. Bye, guys.